Hey everyone. So I am really excited for this one. We're going to go way beyond the battles and the betrayals of the 100 and actually dig into the hidden mindset that's pulling all the strings behind the scenes. This is going to be fun.
Okay, let me just start with a pretty big question. We all think of the 100 as this relentless, brutal story about survival, right? But what if? What if it isn't about survival at all?
And what if I told you that it's really a story about a specific way of thinking, a mindset that actually creates the constant, brutal chaos that all the characters are trying so desperately to escape? Yeah, that's the idea we're going to unpack today.
So, that brings us to our first major idea here, what I'm calling the survival lie. Because, on the surface, sure, the show is all about making these impossible choices just to live another day. But there's something else going on underneath, something much, much more dangerous.
This quote right here, this is basically the key to the whole show. When people believe there isn't enough, they justify anything. Think about it. That's the operating system for literally everyone, from Clark to Bellamy to Octavia. This one core belief, this idea of scarcity, is the real villain of the series.
So this destructive way of thinking, it actually has a name. We're going to call it the zero-sum trap. And I promise you, once you learn to spot it, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere. Not just in the show, but maybe in the real world too.
So what is a zero-sum mindset? It's really simple, but it's totally devastating. It's the belief that for me to win, you have to lose. Period. It's this idea that there's a fixed pie, and if you get a slice, that's one less slice for me. And in the 100, this isn't just about food or medicine, we're talking about land, power, and even the right to exist. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at the huge gap between what the characters say is happening and what's actually going on in their heads. We hear it a million times, right? We had no choice. It was them or us. But the psychological truth? That's just what your brain does under stress. Fear literally puts blinders on you. It shrinks your thinking, it crushes your empathy, and it makes violence feel like the only logical path. It's not a choice, it's a reaction. So how does this all play out? Well, this one flawed mindset creates this vicious, repeating cycle of violence that we see play out season after brutal season. Let's walk through it.
Look at season 1. Right off the bat, fear turns the unknown grounders into an enemy, so they go for domination instead of just being curious. That snowballs into season 2, with the cruelty at Mount Weather where the ends justify the means becomes their motto. By season 3, that fear makes them give up their freedom for the illusion of safety that Ally offers. Then in season 4, panic over Prime Faya leads to decisions that make everything worse. The pattern just keeps repeating. The toxic My People tribalism in season 5, and by season 6, they're just projecting their own inner demons onto everyone else. It's the same trap every time. They just swap out the bad guy.
So here's the bottom line. What does this mindset actually get them? Well, it gets them a temporary win, a moment of control, but it absolutely guarantees long-term chaos and instability. Every single time. They can never build a lasting peace because the very foundation of their worldview is built on conflict.
But you know what? It didn't have to be this way. There was always another path they could have taken, an alternative that was sitting right there, waiting for them. Let's talk about what that looks like.
The difference is just, it's night and day. On one side, you have the survival mindset. That's the show's default setting. It says resources are limited, the world is a threat, and we have to dominate to survive. But the abundance mindset flips the script completely. It says, hey, maybe we can create new solutions. Maybe working together makes us safer, not weaker. It focuses on finding a way for everyone to win in the long run. And this was always an option, but it was almost always drowned out by the noise of fear. Okay, so let's bring this out of the show and into our world. Why does any of this really matter to us? Well, because this pattern, this isn't just science fiction. And if we can learn to see it, we can actually learn to break it in our own lives.
Think about it. This zero-sum thinking is everywhere once you start looking for it. You see it in relationships that feel more like a scoreboard of wins and losses. You see it in business where the goal is to crush your competition instead of just creating more value for everyone. And you absolutely see it in politics and social issues, where everything gets framed as a bitter us versus them battle.
So, how do we break free from this trap? Well, here are 5 really practical steps. 1. Expand the frame. Ask yourself, is this situation really as limited as I think it is? 2. Actively look for a win-win. 3, and this one is huge, when you feel that fear or pressure kicking in, just slow down.
Give your brain a chance to catch up. 4. Try to separate your identity from your side in a conflict. And finally, number 5, always use a long-term lens. Ask yourself, what will this action create a year from now? Just that one question can change everything.
And that really brings us to the core message of this whole analysis. The struggle we see in the 100, and so often in our own world, isn't really because there isn't enough to go around. The struggle is because our perception of the world is too limited.
So here's my challenge to you. The next time you rewatch an episode, or maybe even when you find yourself in a real-life conflict, try to ask a different question. Don't just ask who's going to win or who survives. Ask the much more powerful question: what mindset created this situation in the first place? Because understanding that, that's the real key to building something better.